Good morning. Good morning. I'm Anthony Skinner with the Department of Environmental Protection, and I would like to welcome everyone to Montgomery County's 2024 Employees Black History Month program. This year's theme is African American and the Arts, and I'm so excited that you decided to join us, and thank you all for joining us and celebrating the rich and vibrant culture of our Black history. I'm also so excited at this year's celebration. African American artists have created works that are not only aesthetically pleasing, but also thought provoking and socially relevant. It's important to recognize the contributions of African American artists and their unique perspectives. I'd like to also take this time to thank the Office of the County Executive for making this year's program possible. Thank you for the many ways that you support our efforts, County Executive Elrich. Um, at this time, also, I want to acknowledge the fact that we have a great program. We are going to have of course remarks by the county executive and also a presentation by Suzanne Jenkins, and we also going to have musical performances also. At this time, I just want to especially thank the Black History Month Planning Committee. They are a great team to work with. And I want to thank them for their commitment, their determination, their enthusiasm in planning a wonderful program for all to enjoy. So I will end with this. Relax, and my hope is that you will enjoy this year's program and be entertained, informed, and encouraged. At this time, I want to introduce our moderator, Mr. Jim Stowe. You may know him as as the director of the Office of Human Rights, who is a tireless advocate working towards eliminating racism and discrimination in our community. But I know him as Big Brother, mentor, a person that's very encouraging and always positive and uplifting. So Jim, I'll turn it over to you now.
Well, good morning, everybody. We're glad that you are here and have been a part of this program thus far and chose to be a part of the program for this year. You may have joined us in previous years, and so welcome back for those of you who are in that category. If we've got brand new folks out there joining us for the first time, welcome. We're glad to have you here. Not only to those of you who are employees of Montgomery County, but also those who may be in our community as well. We're glad to have you on board as well. It's going to be a very powerful program this morning. I'm going to thank Anthony Skinner for his leadership and our actual planning team and all those associated with it as well. We've had a wonderful time working through all these various challenges and so forth, but we're here today and we're here to present to you, we hope that you will all agree with us, a marvelous, insightful, and inspirational program. So sit back and let's get at it. I'm so pleased to have us joined this morning by the presentation of colors. It'll be done by the Department of Correction and Rehabilitation. And then we'll have a national anthem performed by Lieutenant Amy Dant from the Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Service. And then following her would then be Lift Every Voice and Sing, performed by our very own Officer P.J. Gregory from the Montgomery County Police Department. And then we'll have the retirement of the Color Guard. So folks, welcome. Black History Month. Let's celebrate.
Showing all the usually have a background. I have one.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order. On. Thank you so much to our Department of Correction and Rehabilitation, the Honor Guard, and also to Lieutenant Amy Dant for your performance. And always, we are just so pleased that Officer P.J. Gregory continues to play that horn. So, my brother, thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful as always. And what a wonderful way to start off this program and move us to the next part of it. And I'm so pleased to be joined by someone else who works very, very hard to move us forward in the area of equity and racial equity, I should say, and social justice. And she is the co-moderator for today, and I'm so pleased to have her on board again this year. My colleague, Tiffany Ward. She is currently the Chief Executive Officer in Montgomery County. And as in that role, she is charged with training county staff on core tenets of racial equity and examining county policies and practices. And for the short and long term, to look at these issues and the impact of racial disparities that occur throughout our community. A task for which she's taken on, and I must tell you all that has put so much effort, she and her team of folks working in that area, to make our county a better place. Equity is indeed a challenge and a goal at the same time, and certainly our county executive has put that as primary one in terms of his particular priorities for our county. And so, Tiffany, thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do and your team. Please now take it away.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you to all the employee members of this planning committee. This really would not be possible without you. I am so grateful for your dedication to this program every year. And thank you for folks who've joined us today and taken some time out of their schedules. I'm going to take some time now. It is my pleasure to introduce to you all the County Council President, Andrew Friedson. Andrew Friedson represents District 1 here in Montgomery County. That includes Bethesda, Chevy Chase, and Potomac. In 2018, Council President Friedson became the youngest council member ever elected and is now the youngest council president in county history. County President Friedson chairs the Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee and is a member of the GO, or Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee. Council President Friedson has also established a $100 million revolving housing and production fund and spearheaded legislation to incentivize smart growth and housing near transit. He's co-authored the county's largest ever climate investment with the Montgomery County Green Buildings Now Act and sponsored legislation to provide guaranteed paid parental leave to county employees, as well as providing lactation facilities for lactating individuals here in the county. Council President Friedson's priorities for the coming year include addressing the housing and climate crisis here in the county, bolstering economic development to expand our tax base, and strengthening the county council's oversight, as well as improving support services for older adults who live so they can live with dignity and independence and vitality here in the county. County Council President Friedson.
Hello, thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Director. Thank you, Jim Stowe. Appreciate that. I always am pleased to be with both of you. It's so great to join, and I'm really just honored and humbled to be a part of this celebration in our county and in our community. We had a great celebration at the county council, and some of you were able to make it. I really appreciated that. It was a terrific example of African Americans in the arts. The current theme, as we're continuing to share here, we had 3 incredible artists that we were able to highlight with a wonderful video at the county council. And it really is an opportunity for all of us, not just this month, but every month, not just today, but every day, to shine a light on our local artists and educators and on the tremendous cultural contributions that we have received and that we continue to benefit from that are so entrenched in our community and in many ways come from the African American community. And it is just truly an honor to be able to represent a place like Montgomery County, where we lean into these issues. It's not lost on me when we talk about Black history. We're talking about Montgomery County history, and that's every day when I walk into the Montgomery County Council. And we have to acknowledge the challenges as we talk about the triumphs and the resilience of the Black community here in Montgomery County. the Montgomery County Council, it's not lost on any of us, is the site of 2 of the 3 documented reported lynchings in Montgomery County. That is part of the history, part of the place where we now, with intentionality, make decisions about how to address the structural inequities and the challenges of our community. And in the face of oppression, in the face of those challenges, to be able to celebrate the light that has shined amid the darkness, and to be able to celebrate the incredible Black leaders that we have in Montgomery County, that we have benefited from in Montgomery County, and continue to push ourselves, not just in the work that Tiffany and her team do, the racial equity, social justice law, the landmark law that the council was proud to move forward, working with the executive branch to declare racism as a public health emergency, one of the first jurisdictions in the country to do that, to support our Black businesses with Black business initiatives like the Amber program, which is helping our Black entrepreneurs to try to address some of those inequities that we face economically and that we know are there, to disaggregate data. So we know not just when we talk about how is Montgomery County doing, we need to talk about how is everybody within Montgomery County doing. So I'm really honored, really pleased to be guided by the words, the timeless words of Dr. King, to bend the arc of the moral universe towards justice. I really believe that in Montgomery County, each of you, every single day, are doing your part to do that. But we recognize that as much of the progress that we have made, we have a lot more progress that we need to make. That the dream has not been realized. That the path towards progress is not linear. And in many ways, we are facing challenges in our community and well beyond our community of threats to moving towards that dream and moving along that path towards progress. And that's why we have to be as intentional with our efforts to undo and to change and to move forward as those chains of oppression were intentionally placed on the Black community and on all of us. And we know that unless and until we unleash the potential of everybody in our community, unless and until our residents do not face the level of inequities that they face, so we will never reach our economic potential. We will never reach our full social potential. We will never be the beloved community that we all aspire to being. So thank you for making us do better. And thank you for being the people on the ground each and every day who are doing the work, who are serving our residents, and who are doing what we like to say, which is to live our values out loud. You are the ones who are turning policies into action and making the commitments that we have shared a reality for the residents who we serve. And so I'm just very grateful to you, very grateful to be part of this incredible community, and just want to express my gratitude and the council's gratitude for all of your work as public servants, and for all of us to be able to celebrate the incredible breadth of the Black community, and celebrate not just this month, but every month, the richness that we get for being in a community that is so great here in Montgomery County. So thank you so much, and really appreciate being able to join you today.
Thank you, Council President. Now I'm going to send this back to Director Stowe as we start with our awardees.
Thank you, Tiffany, and also thank you, Council President. We just know and appreciate you so much and all you're doing, and we just celebrate you and your year of leadership, and we look forward to what we know will be a year of accomplishments and bold challenges. But I know that you, in fact, are ready for it. So, Councilmember Andrew Friedson, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're so pleased to have with us now. We're going to shift gears and also talk about those in our own ranks, as it were, employees of Montgomery County who do extraordinary things. While there may be those who kind of go about their everyday jobs and maybe not even notice, but because of what they do and the work that they're about, our community is better. And so we're going to take time out to celebrate those persons. And we've asked our colleague, Kamika Henry, to share with us those nominees for this year's Ordinary Persons Doing Extraordinary Things. Kamika is a government eligibility assistant specialist 3 and the health insurance section of the Office of Eligibility and Support Services. And she is also someone that does not like to talk about herself and doesn't like to give us information about her either. And so we don't have a whole lot to talk about her, but she is, in fact, just a wonderful person. I know that for a fact. And so we are glad that she has joined us to take part in this program. Kamika, the floor is yours.
Hi. Good morning, all. Good morning, all. On behalf of the Office of Human Resources, the Equal Employment Opportunity Division, and the Black History Month Planning Committee, I welcome you once again to this wonderful tradition. First, I'd like to take a moment to thank all of the nominees considered for this award. It is a recognition of their hard work and dedication to the citizens of Montgomery County. It is my privilege to share the recipients of this year's Montgomery County Service Award, Ordinary People Doing Ordinary Things. These employees have gone above and beyond their professional functions in their jobs, demonstrating no boundaries in respect to how much they do, how hard they work as part of their deep commitment to the service of Montgomery County and its residents. So this year, the award is being presented to employees Maurice Days, Murad Ahmed, and Kevin Shelton with the Department of Transportation, Marhonda Williams with the Department of Recreation, and Detective Wesley Allen with the Montgomery County Police Department. So Maurice Days, Murad Ahmed, and Kevin Shelton, Department of Transportation. On January 8th of this year, ride-on bus operator Maurice Days arrived at the Silver Spring Bus Depot and discovered a child with special needs who was lost. Quickly, Operator Davis contacted Kevin Shelton at Central Communications and requested the assistance of a ride-on road coordinator to help with the lost child. Coordinator Murad Ahmed arrived at the station, interviewed the child, and was able to figure out the child's name and school information. When communications leader Shelton reached the school's principal, he found out they had been searching for the child for 3 hours. The principal put the child's parents in touch with the communication leader, and the parents and child were reunited. In their press release regarding the issue, Ride-On thanked the exceptional efforts of Operator Days, Coordinator Ahmed, and communications leader Shelton. Quote, their quick observation, response, and assistance were instrumental in reuniting the lost child with their family. Thanks to the dedication of these customer service-oriented employees, the child was promptly identified and safely reunited with his family, end quote. Our next recipient is Marhonda Williams with the Department of Recreation. As stated in her nomination for this award, no one sets the bar higher in ensuring that Montgomery County's youth have full and complete access to the quality out-of-school programs than Marhonda Williams. Ms. Williams works tirelessly to support her team and to provide a variety of youth development programs year-round. Some of such programs are TeenWorks, an employment and volunteering program, after-school programs such as Excel Beyond the Bell, Rec Extra, High School Rec Zone, sports programs such as Soccer for Change and the Chill Snowboarding Program, a fashion boot camp, and the Summer Leadership Challenge Program. Because of her vision and commitment, the county's youth have access to safe and engaging programs which allow them to build skills, build relationships with caring adults, and create a pathway to success. She's an amazing leader, staff member, and a person that helps make Montgomery County a great community to grow up in and live. Our final recipient is Detective Wesley Allen with Montgomery County Police Department. Detective Allen joined Montgomery County Police Department in 2015. After his graduation from Academy, Detective Allen was assigned to the 5th District and was a school resource officer at Northwest High School. As an SRO, he received commendations for his professionalism and work with students, including working with administrators, students, Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Services, and MCPD to create a video on the dangers of impaired driving for students. Detective Allen has volunteered in recent years to present for the Community Engagement Officers Rising 9th Grade Camp, held each summer at various MCPS schools. He also provides mentoring to cadets and new officers and contributes to the department's recruiting efforts. In 2021, Detective Allen became an investigator with the Special Victims Investigations Division Missing Child Section. Many missing children are at risk and are in crisis. Detective Allen works with these youth and their families to resolve issues that leads them or has led them to run away, and provides referrals to other agencies to help families in crisis. Last year, Detective Allen was a lead investigator on a critical case of a 15-year-old who was missing. The case drew attention of citizens, politicians, and the local media. This 7-week case culminated with the teen being successfully located in Baltimore City. Detective Allen worked diligently on this case, including times when he was off duty. Detective Allen indicated that when he woke up each morning, the first thing he thought about was the missing teen and her safety. Per his nomination, quote, Detective Allen worked tirelessly and should be commended for his work in resolving this case, end quote. Thank you to our recipients for their unyielding service to the community and its residents. Thank you, and back to you, Jim.
Thank you so very, very much. And I want to make real sure that we, at some point in time, to our producer, Teddy Ramett, that we show those award winners again. I think it's so important that we share with people their names, and then these are your colleagues, these are your coworkers, folks. So make real sure that if, when you see them, and don't wait to see them, give them a call today and just thank them again for their ongoing efforts and congratulate them on being recognized again by their colleagues and also by their directors, who in fact in instances nominated those persons. So thank you all for that. We need to do more of this, to salute our employees and for all you do. It's great work, and we are doing a great service, we believe, and I hope you agree, to the members of our community. So again, to those who are, again, the ordinary people doing extraordinary things, recipients this year, thank you for all that you do. And now I'm turning back over to my colleague, Tiffany Ward, who will introduce our county executive. Tiffany?
Thank you, Jim. And thank you to all the recipients for all their work here in the county. I think it's really important to acknowledge when people go above and beyond. This is being a public servant. It's not easy work, but it is hard work, and it's really important that we acknowledge the efforts of our colleagues. Thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce County Executive Mark Elrich. Mark Elrich is in his second term as County Executive here in Montgomery County. Before serving as County Executive, Mark Elrich was a County Council, at-large County Council member here in the county. And before that, a council member with Tacoma Park. Mark Elrich is a lifelong supporter of the civil rights movement, of racial equity and social justice. He is a co-sponsor, or was a co-sponsor, of the racial equity law that helped create our office, the Office of Racial Equity and Social Justice. I'm excited to hear him speak today a little bit about our theme, African Americans and in the arts. County Executive Elrich.
So, thank you very much, Stephanie. Can you hear me?
We can. You're a little bit muted. So if you can turn up your volume or turn up your mic, that'd be great.
Or get my mic closer. That'll help.
Okay.
Do you have a visual? I can't tell because my computer didn't work, so I'm using Scott's, and I'm not sure what you're seeing or not seeing.
No,
You're good to go. You're good to
We
go.
can see
Okay,
you.
so
We
we're all
got you.
good. Okay, so first of all, thank you all very much and for being there. I can't be there. I'm in Annapolis today. I'm testifying on some stuff. So this is where I've got to be. Normally I'd be there with you. I just want to thank you for all the work, Jim and your organizing committee that you put together. I want to welcome all the employees, the directors, and the other elected officials who joined us this morning. And I appreciate the this year's theme, African Americans and the arts and artistic expression as a tradition that I think we know goes back centuries. I know in my own life, I grew up as a blues fan and getting to know the Black blues musicians who often frequented DC and used to play in the clubs in DC. And I will say that my favorite memory was I saw Jimi Hendrix 3 nights in a row down at the Old Ambassador Theater in DC, and that was quite a treat. So Hendrix is kind of the crossover of blues into rock and roll, and kind of embodied the elements of both the musics. And he was a really important American musician. So I've always recognized the role that African Americans, that the Black tradition has played in music and the arts here in America, and it's totally appropriate for us to be having an event that actually celebrates arts and artistic expression. We know that, for many African Americans during the period of slavery, which was more than 2 centuries, when you remember it, and it's 2 centuries of absolute slavery and another century of slavery in the form of indentured servitude, which tied people to the land and made it impossible for them to leave the land. So we've had a very long, entangled history here. The songs that were shared and sung during those centuries were instructive. That sometimes they brought news from the plantation or from what was in the outside world. They were efforts to express their own pain and suffering and to talk about their own aspirations and hopes for a day when things would be different. And I know during the Civil Rights Movement, the songs helped lift the spirits of everybody who was involved. I mean, I remember sitting in rooms where everybody's holding hands and just kind of rocking to the songs and singing songs of civil rights, of the Civil Rights Movement. And those were powerful and they were binding in the sense that they brought people together, and listening to people sing together and share the stories and the songs together was an important, I think, developmental moment for people who were involved in the movement. We didn't have much tradition. I didn't have much tradition in, holding hands and singing songs, and that was a very different experience, but it was also much more intense and I'd say impactful. Music and spoken word have been a window into the soul of songwriters, performers, writers, and poets. It's no wonder that societies that want to clamp down on dissent, one of the first places they go is after the arts, because arts have been used for as long as I think people can remember to express folk knowledge, folk wisdom, and folk opinions that weren't necessarily the dominant opinions of the time. And the arts became a place, whether it was paintings, whether it was dance, whether it was music, where a person could express themselves and take on some of the themes of the day, and in a space that was open to them until it was repressed, which was different than the press, which was not necessarily a space that was open to people to express themselves. So artistic expression is critical to cultural transmission of people's reactions to the circumstances of their lives and people's sense of what they hope for themselves and what they want to be in the future. And Montgomery County continues to invest in the arts. We're having discussions now about how we need to approach the arts going forward. How do you create space for all the things that there needs to be space for? How do we treat it not as one-off budget item, but as a coherent part of policy so that we're not debating what our policy is going to be on making sure that arts institutions survive. So, we're going through our own evolution and how we deal with arts, but I think all of us recognize how important they were. And I felt, even during COVID, I didn't want everything reduced to being sick in bed and not being able to go anywhere. And that cannot and should not be the be all and end all of life. And so beyond work and beyond the traumas that people may experience on the outside or in going through their day-to-day routines, I think preserving arts was crucial for people to have a sense of well-being. And I'm confident that, not just here, but everywhere, that music and art played a role in helping people hang on to something while they were going through COVID, particularly in the earliest and darkest parts of COVID, when we really didn't know what the future would hold and what track we were on. So there's, I don't think you can say enough about the role of arts in maintaining people's perspective and frankly, sometimes their sanity in the face of situations that can be historically very, very different. So, we remain committed to making sure there are spaces for this. And I want to be sure to acknowledge that the annual award for ordinary people doing ordinary things is kind of an extraordinary things, is a recognition of the work that people do and have continued to do that really is extraordinary and that makes a difference in everybody's life. So I'm glad I could get on for a few minutes today. I'm sorry I'm not there. I wish I had been. It beats a drive down to Annapolis any day. And hopefully I will be back there again next year. But thank you all, and thank you for everything you're going to do. And I want to, you should all give a round of applause and thank everybody for going above and beyond their day jobs to do more and do extraordinary things for the people of Montgomery County and for our communities. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. And again, I want to also just echo just about your commitment, sir. I'm often reminded of the story you tell about when you were there at the March on Washington in 1963 and how they had such an impact on your life and how, in fact, it moved into the latter stages of it to include college and then on to your days as an educator early on in this community. And even today as a county executive, it still has that penetrating impact in you and what you do by way of your decision making and your leadership. And so you need to hear that from time to time, Mr. County Executive, that we appreciate what you do and know the sacrifices that you make on a daily basis to serve those of us who are residents of this community. You are appreciated.
I just say that I always felt that once you know something, you can't not know it.
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
And getting woken up at an early age to what was going on in the world just stuck with me.
Yeah.
When you see people's pain and you see their experiences, and since young kids often grow up have not quite been contaminated by the biases and prejudices of their elders, and you look at things in a kind of innocent way, and it's just like, what the hell is wrong with everybody? Why are they treating people like this?
Mm-hmm.
Later on you learn the why and where it comes from. But I think it's those earliest moments when, kind of just plays on a kid's fundamental sense of justice, that what they saw around them didn't make sense. And because I got exposed, it had a really profound effect on how I look at the world and the work I do. So thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you, sir. Well, I'm delighted to now have join us coming back to, again, our view. He is Officer P.J. Gregory. And I just want to say to him that, and I hope he comes on camera so we can see him. We talk about him, we hear him play, but I don't know we have had a chance just to say hello then, Officer Gregory. Are you there? Can we see you? And can we have at least have a moment to just to say hello? And let me just ask, if you will, Brother PJ, tell me about that horn of yours? Does it have a name, number one, and how long you've been playing it? And what goes to your mind when we see you close your eyes and just let the melodious tones come out of that horn in ways that I tell you what is just so very, very special? Please.
First and foremost, thank you all for having me. I really enjoy coming out and sharing my talent. It's truly a blessing. To answer your question, I've been playing since 1991. I got married in 91. And I've always been fascinated by the saxophone. Every piece of jazz music that I acquired, I didn't realize it at the time, but I just had an ear for the horn. All the music that I bought, it was geared towards the horn. This right here is the tenor sax. And so I just decided I wanted to play. I think I was 31 years old when I picked it up. The Lord gifted me and told me, hey, I want you to play for me. And so I picked it up and, married, and I have 3 kids. There were times I had to put the horn down for a couple years and pick it back up, take lessons. But somehow I just kept persevering because I wanted to play this instrument because it gives me an opportunity to just express my gratitude to the Father for giving me breath. It gives me the opportunity to express gratitude to the Father for blessing my family. It gives me, I think about the gratitude that I have for him, that he's given me 29 years on the police department. So I get very expressive. I get emotional. One of my favorite horn players is Kurt Whalum, and I patterned my style after him because he's a gospel horn player. And it just, when I heard him play for the first time, I said, I want to play like that. And so I just have, just given the opportunity to play, I just like to just bless others with the talent that the Lord has given me.
Well, please, Brother PJ, bless us now with the selection.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
the smooth, sultry sounds of Mr. P.J. Gregory. Thank you so much. We are so delighted you're here, and we're glad that you're here with us, PJ, and thank you so much for that beautiful, beautiful rendition. I am now delighted to shift gears again and to go to a colleague that I'm so glad that I have now been at least introduced to her radar and her connections and the life that she has dedicated in the way of the arts. It's just a wonderful, wonderful spirit. I am talking about our colleague Susan E. Jenkins. She is Chief Executive Officer of the Arts and Humanities Council of Montgomery County. She's been in that role since 2008. She serves on a number of boards to include the Maryland Citizens for the Arts, Women of Color in the Arts, and on the Montgomery County, Maryland Remembrance and Reconciliation Commission. And besides all of that, she is a person who is just the epitome of integrity and has always sought to better engage our community in ways that arts make a difference. And so I'm so pleased to have her be a part of our discussion today. And she's just going to share with us the importance of the arts and how they in fact do make a difference, and how we might be able to also participate in ensuring that the arts still are available to every person in Montgomery County. Please help me welcome Susan Jenkins.
Oh, Director Stowe, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm so humbled and honored to be here today. You know, first of all, I want to thank everyone for being here today, and especially for that beautiful, beautiful musical rendition that really set the stage to help us understand how music so touches the soul and how it brings us all together. You know, Officer Gregory, you know, your story about coming to the saxophone late in life is frankly also my story. I also am a student of the tenor saxophone, and to be able to come and bring that vibration into your life, especially later in life, has been a real joy for me too. So maybe one day, if I can get my practicing together, we might do something. But that said, this work that I do is my absolute joy, and it's made even more so by the generosity of Montgomery County. Director Stowe, you spoke to County Executive Elrich's generosity and understanding of the arts sector and the important intersectionality of our sector. I have worked in the county both through the Great Depression of 2008 and now through the pandemic in supporting our sector. And I couldn't have done that without the support of the county executive when he was a county council person, now as county executive, and all of the legislators in our county who absolutely do understand the importance and impact of the arts as far as the vibrancy in cultural life and economic impact of the arts. So today, I wanted to share an overview of what the arts and humanities look like in Montgomery County, as well as to share a little bit about something very exciting coming up for us, and that is the development of a new cultural plan. So let's see, I am going to share my screen. And we should be able, please let me know, can you see my shared screen?
Yes, just put it on PowerPoint presentation, slide mode, you're good to go. Perfect.
Wonderful. All right, so I just wanted to give you an overview of what the sector looks like in Montgomery County, and it is incredibly strong. As I mentioned, we've had several great years of appropriation from the county, and then during the darkest times during the pandemic, the county gave us extra money from the ARPA funds and also from CARES Act. And so during the very difficult times for our sector, when many of you might have read in the New York Times and other major publications that the arts sector, first to close, last to open during the COVID times, the county continued to support us. And in 2023, we received an appropriation of almost $10 million for the arts in Montgomery County. The Arts and Humanities Council is the designated local arts agency for Montgomery County. What that means is that funding for the arts comes through Montgomery County government directly to us, and we then are designated to provide it to over 500 arts and humanities organizations and over 2,000 individual artists and scholars in our group. Mostly, I'll tell you that the Arts and Humanities Council is a grant-making organization. There are about 5,000 local arts agencies throughout the nation. Some of them are presenters, some of them are performers, and some of them are grant makers, depending on the region and the need. Based on the metropolitan area that we serve and the fact that it is relatively sophisticated area next to Washington, D.C., we are primarily a grant-making organization that also provides professional development and technical assistance to the organizations we serve. So as a grant maker, here is what our FY24 grant making looked like. We provide grants all throughout the county, and you can see that a good proportion of them are in the Rockville and Potomac area. But throughout, you see that we also fund in the Silver Spring area, Bethesda area, and lots and lots and lots of areas to Gaithersburg, Damascus, Durwood. We are also funding organizations in those regions, and our goal is to support organizations in traditionally underrepresented areas. So our hope is to increase appropriation to these areas as we see growth in those areas. Here are the kinds of disciplines that we fund, from writing to opera to the media arts to theater. You see that we are funding a huge proportion of organizations throughout the county in various different ways that we are able to fund throughout. Uh-oh, I just lost my view. Let me get back to it. All right. But here is the most important part. As you saw, from local and state revenue, we received almost $10 million. But we're supporting over almost 4,000 jobs, which is a totality of all of our public service officers combined. So we are serving more than police and fire combined. We also are supporting about $140 million in resident household incomes and generating then a total of about $183 million to the $9.5 million investment. So when I talk to economists and I talk to others who are worried about whether or not the arts are a good investment, to be able to say that the return on investment from a little less than $10 million is $183 million is a huge return on investment that we should continue to make. It grows the economy as well as the vitality. Support for the arts and humanities comes from the county, from federal government, from individual and corporate and board support, and that turns out to help us generate $183 million in economic support. Let's see, it seems like it just jumped over. As we look at the ripple effect, we see that we have attendees coming in from all over the county, all over the region that spend about $23 per person. So when you look at that, annual local spending comes up to about $59 million, people coming from throughout the region to enjoy arts and culture in Montgomery County. We want them to keep coming day after day after day. They come in, they park, they buy dinner, they buy tickets, they go home, they come back the next day and the next day. We're going to continue to create an inviting environment so that that continues to happen throughout the region. We also have a wonderful, wonderful outward-facing public calendar, Culture Spot MC. And in that outward-facing calendar, you're able to see all kinds of things that are happening. And here's just a smidgen of things that we see that are happening throughout the month for Black History Month, all focused on African American arts and culture. We also are the designated local arts agency for public art. We manage over 1,000 pieces of public art that are in Montgomery County's collection, about 600 pieces in the public view, and about 400 two-dimensional pieces of work that you'll find in county office buildings throughout. County executive has some, county council persons have some, and in other public settings. We just recently updated our public art guidelines. So when either a private organization, say a developer, or the county is looking at public art to put in our county, we have some great guidelines that help guide toward equity and inclusion principles that we hold dear to us. Here's a recent installation by Osbel Susman Pena, who lives in Wheaton. He is an incredible artist, and he made an installation on the underlook at Brookside Gardens called Donde Viven los Sueños. If you have an opportunity to go and see that, it is an absolutely beautiful and dynamic piece of work that we recently installed. We also have a wonderful offering of free jazz the second Wednesdays at the Kramer Gallery, which is in the Silver Spring Civic Building. And we have been able to implement that series for the last 18 months. It's a free series that's offered, and the next one is on Valentine's Day. So if you're looking for some wonderful jazz and then dinner afterwards in downtown Silver Spring, I hope that we can see you in the Kramer Gallery.
Susan, let me interrupt you. Susan,
Yeah.
let me interrupt you a quick second, because I want to make real sure that our audience knows that they can ask questions. I want to put them in the chat because we want to come back with all this information you're giving us. We want to make real sure that persons get it. And if they've got a follow-up question, that they think about it now, put it in the chat, and that way Susan can address it. Susan, please go ahead. I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
Wonderful, wonderful. So as I mentioned in a tease earlier on, I said that we're in the middle, we're at the very beginning of looking at requests for qualifications for a new cultural plan. It's been more than 20 years since Montgomery County completed a cultural plan, and just recently the county adopted Thrive 2050, which is the new master plan for the county. This is the perfect time, and is mentioned in Thrive 2050, that the Arts and Humanities Council conduct a new cultural plan. Why would we want to do that? Well, here are a few reasons. One, the county's demographic have changed significantly over the last 20 years. Its population has grown about 1% per year. Its non-white population has grown by approximately 80%, to the point where 60% of the county's population is non-white. The philosophy of cultural planning has also changed. There's less focus on arts and culture organizations and on the economic impact of the arts and culture, more focus on community, overall creative life and health. And there has been an awakening to the intersectionality between arts and culture sector and a broad range of public services, from civic engagement and voting to environmental, placemaking, and transportation. And my agency's vision, values, and priorities have evolved. We've completed 2 strategic planning processes and, more importantly, adopted racial equity principles as we navigated the COVID-19 pandemic, shifting our grant-making emphasis toward empowering smaller, non-traditional organizations, emphasizing general operating support while we continue to support large organizations, finding a new balance that supports the entire community that we hope to serve, by making certain that we're leaning into equity and inclusion. So that work is underway right now. We have just opened the search for qualifications for a cultural plan. And as that work continues, we hope that we would be able to introduce a draft of a cultural plan within the next 18 months. So please stay tuned for that. And with that, I will open it up to questions. And thank you very, very much for being here today.
Susan, thank you. Thank you so much for all that great information. We do happen to have a initial question, and we'll start off with this one. It says that it would be good to if all the web addresses spoken shown in the slides were emailed to everyone attending this program. And so is that something that we could do?
We certainly can. We certainly can.
And so, Susan, I have a question for you, and that is, when we think about the arts in Montgomery County, do you see us as let me ask it differently. How might you rate us in terms of the art offerings in Montgomery County, in terms of the diversity of those particular artists and in terms of the diversity of the various mediums?
I'll tell you, Jim, we're a rival to none. Montgomery County has some of the most sophisticated theater, some of the most sophisticated journalism, some of the most sophisticated research, documentation, visual arts in the region. We compete with Washington, D.C., and we complete handily. And that is some of the challenge for Montgomery County, that Washington, D.C. has a huge draw. However, we are an incredibly evocative region with some of the best theater, receiving great awards, and incredible visual artists and scholars. So I'd say that we are rival to none. And from the state's perspective, I'll tell you that on more than one occasion, our agency has been considered the gold standard for the state, and we've been told that personally and publicly. So we know that because of the high sophistication of the region, that the county's investment is a huge boost for us, not only for livability, but from an economic status.
I'm so pleased to hear that. Questions come up here. How important are donations to the council budget and success? How important are those donations to the county budget toward the success of the arts offerings here in Montgomery County?
They're critical. They're critical, to not only show that the arts and humanities are something that the public needs and wants is a critical piece. Being able to advocate for the arts and humanities and have those donations, whether it's through the county or whether it's directly to the Arts and Humanities Council, or whether it's to the organizations we serve. I'll tell you that as a quasi-government organization, and I'll say quasi because we are a 501c3, separate and distinct from Montgomery County government. However, we're a non-departmental agency of the government, and so thankfully our budget rests inside Montgomery County government to show the importance, as County Executive Elrich was saying, that it's a vital piece of Montgomery County's thinking as far as economic growth is concerned. But it's also important to understand that, as I've often told people, when people think about government agencies or quasi-government agencies, we are not the first thought when it comes to public donations. So it's really important to understand that, as I've described before to my colleagues, we're like the little plastic thingy that holds the 6-pack of Cokes together. And so people don't usually fund the little plastic thingy. But so it's important to understand what we do: professional development, base general operating support funding, technical assistance, that then supports the organizations. They go out and they are able to receive funding as a result of the fact that our funding is like a good housekeeping seal of approval, and it then allows places like Create Arts Center or Kalanidi Dance or Roundhouse, for that matter, or Olney Theater, to receive other donations, because once you've received a good housekeeping seal of approval from your local arts agency, it does attract other donors, and we also help the vibrancy through that kind of work.
Susan, I know that you're doing a lot in this area as well, but how can we become that point by which people think about, and I'm talking about those of us who live in Montgomery County, as the destination for that great theater that you mentioned that is second to none, for musical performances, for, again, visual arts? How do we get ourselves here in Montgomery County to see this as the place you go to first is right here in our own community? how do we sell that better? And maybe it's going very well now. I'm not so sure, but you mentioned early on this idea that the notoriety goes to Washington, D.C. I'm going to see a show in Washington, D.C. I'm going to see a play in Washington, D.C. I don't hear people saying I'm going to see a play in Bethesda or in Rockville or where the case may be. How do we move
they do
our
in my
consciousness? How can, there we go. How can I move? How can we move our consciousness to say then that we ought to be that first place of thought? How does that
We
happen?
just have to
And
continue
what can we
to
do? What can we do
excel.
about that?
We need to just continue to excel. You know, um, competition is interesting because if our goal is to try to undermine the competition, that often is a Pythagorean kind of task. But excellence, there is no competition for excellence. So continued excellence, continuing to engage, purchasing tickets, serving on boards, becoming a patron, helping others understand why they need to be a patron is important. Can we compete with the Kennedy Center? I'm not certain. Can we compete with the Smithsonian? I'm not certain. But can we excel so that our individual offerings are of such high quality and such great dignity that people would want to come here? And then telling others. Word of mouth is probably one of the most important tools we could use. So if we continue to excel, if we engage in the community, become supporters of that community, and then lift up that voice, amplify the voice. So when somebody says, "Oh, I saw a great play in New York," say, "Yes, and I saw an incredible play in Bethesda. Do you know that we have one of the most historic theaters, one of the oldest historic theaters is only in America? Do you know that we have that here and that they present, world-class productions?" That is where we can compete. But other than that, I think we just have to accept that there are many things that make a region excellent, and we are an important part of that.
Well, Susan, I know that you're on a tight schedule, but I'm going to ask again from my audience to see if there's anybody out there that might have another question before we let Susan go. Any questions out there? Well, Susan, I've got one more because it's on my mind about this issue of emerging artists. You've got, again, you're the funder of the various arts organizations, as you have shared. Who is really working on the issue of emerging artists? And do they have a home here in Montgomery County? Is there some advocates for those kinds of persons? And where might they plug in as they come into our community?
Well, they can plug right in with us. So yes, we are advocates for emerging artists, not only emerging artists, but emerging arts professionals. So we have conducted something called the BELC, which is the BIPOC Emerging Leaders of Color Coaching Cohort. I am a leadership coach, certified leadership coach, and my colleagues and I have worked very, very hard to make certain that we can put potential leaders in the pipeline so that as we are looking at some of the organizations in Montgomery County that we serve, who may serve emerging artists, emerging scholars, we want to make sure that there's also arts administrators who are qualified and can help uplift these voices. So on the funding side, we are funding emerging artists. So if you are a teaching artist or if you're an individual artist or scholar, you are able to come in. You don't have to be a 501c3. You can just show that you're a Montgomery County resident, and we support the work through an open panel and open grants making process. So we do it on that side. And then if you're an arts administrator, we also have now, this is our third cohort. Now we have already coached 45 emerging leaders through this program, so that as we look at some of these major organizations and we see that there is some lack of staff diversity, and we understand that staff diversity reflects patron diversity, etc. So if we can diversify staffing and help people see themselves in an organization, which would evoke you to want to apply, to speak to someone who looks like you, who may understand you, that combination coaching emerging leaders and supporting, new entrants into the field. That work is some of the work that we're highly engaged in doing so that we can continue to reflect the geography and demography of Montgomery County.
Excellent, excellent. Susan, you mentioned in your comments, and it'll be the last thing I will put up before you. I want to go back again to the plug that you put out there for this opportunity to get ready to hit the street in terms of opportunities to work to help create that cultural backdrop, if you will. Say one more thing about that, if you will, and how persons who may have an interest out there on this call, and maybe some of our fellow employees and colleagues of Montgomery County may know of someone who has that particular service that they can provide. Say one more thing about that again, if you will, and how persons who have an interest might be on the lookout for information coming out about this business opportunity that they can work with the Arts and Humanities Council.
Absolutely. Well, as I mentioned, we know that it is time for us to look for a cultural plan that can be a good sister document to Thrive 2050. As the county considers investments throughout the county, especially in traditionally underinvested communities, it's important to us to think about it in a holistic and intersectional way. So if you go to our website, I'm not sure it's up today, but I'll tell you that soon, and that is www.creativemoco.com. It will be important for those who are interested, planners, cultural planners that you may know, to take a look at the request for qualifications and to think about applying. Of course, we're hoping that we find cultural planners who reflect the demography of Montgomery County, who understand it and have an understanding of the work. This is not just work that is an off-the-shelf cultural plan, but it would be completely customized to the needs of Montgomery County. So if you know of planners, if you know of people who have done this work in their fields, please encourage them to go to our website, www.creativemoco.com. Take a look at the request for qualifications. Take a look at the white paper that we developed that set the stage. It's called Setting the Stage for a New Cultural Plan to better understand us. And we encourage them to reach out to us with questions. We'll be having an open session soon, and we look forward to hearing any applicant who may think that this work is right up their alley.
Well, I want to thank you again so much. We here, of course, want to make sure we recognize that there are a number of opportunities to engage in a lot of the processes and programs and activities occurring in our community. You just heard one, folks. You just heard one right here now. That is an opportunity for those of us out there who may have these connections or may know someone that can be engaged in the process of creating this cultural program, this cultural backdrop, if you will, the cultural plan for the Arts and Humanities Council. So again,
and
Susan,
I just
thank
wanted
you.
to add, I just wanted to add that the plan is this request for qualifications is funded, and the plan will be funded. We already have secured the funding to do this work, and so that's not an issue. We're just looking for somebody who is perfect for us.
Susan, please say that again. You already have the money, so this is not anything we have to worry about, right? So you have the money.
Is funded.
So there we go. So please. So if you're out there again and have an interest, please, again, connect in ways that might allow you to be maybe a possible candidate for this opportunity. Susan Jenkins, thank you so much again for all you do, and your team at the Arts and Humanities Council. I know work very, very hard to do all of the work involved in getting monies out to various art organizations and making the tough decisions when you can't make it maybe for everybody, right? But making those tough decisions as to how that money gets distributed out there in the community. We thank you for all you do and wish you well going forward. I know you're again on a tight schedule. Thank you for working us in today. I really appreciate that as well. And I'm so glad that you are feeling better as well. She was feeling a little under the weather, and so glad that worked out. And again, Susan, thank you for being here. We appreciate you immensely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, all of you, for this beautiful Black History Month program. I'm so honored to be able to work and humbled to be able to serve in Montgomery County. Thank you so much. Peace.
Now, folks, we're getting ready to shift gears yet another time. But before we go any further, I do want to make sure that we recognize a number of people who are behind the scenes in today's program, I should say. But another group of folks is our community engagement team and Office of Broadband Programs. They are, again, able to stream this program live today to our community. Thank you all. Derek, thank you for your folks. We really appreciate all you all do for us there in Tibbs and all of the colleagues associated with that program. And so again, Derek Kenny, thank you again for all you do and your team. Really appreciate you as well. So as we again yet shift gears, we have got a special presentation coming up. I am delighted to have with us a gentleman who I think we've gotten to know one another over the years, and I'm so glad that our paths crossed. But he is in the person of Apostle Ronald A. Horde. He is known internationally as Ronnie Diamond Horde. He began his musical career at the age of 6 in his grandfather's church in Dayton, Ohio. After playing in various local groups, local bands, performing around the nation, Ronnie landed a position as lead singer and guitarist with the Grammy Award-winning group, the Ohio Players. And in 1996, Ronnie released his solo project, I should say, It Is Written. This project was nominated for a Stellar Award. You may know that that's an award program for gospel music. He has performed as a soloist with celebrated artists and groups such as Edwin Hawkins, the late Roger Troutman, the Mississippi Mass Choir, the Clouds of Joy, and Jennifer Holliday, and many, many more. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Apostle Ronnie Diamond Horde. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Jim.
I trust you are well today, sir.
Man, I am blessed. I am blessed, and that good to hear your voice and to see you.
Very good indeed. Well, Apostle Horde, we thought today that as we kind of talk about this issue of, again, the African American and the arts. Obviously, music is a big part of that, and certainly a big part of your life has been music. And I wanted to kind of just to go on a journey with you, if we may, this morning,
Yes,
this
sir.
afternoon, I should say, and kind of talk about the music journey you have been on. And since you know so much about music in and of itself, the origin of music, we always go back to the church. Is that not accurate to say?
That is so accurate, and it's a big part of our American Black culture. Yes, sir. The music in the church.
Well, in your bio, it talks about you doing and being a part of that sort of movement very early on, 5 or 6 years old, as it turns out. So are there songs that kind of come to mind when you think about your very beginnings of understanding music and how important it was and how it moved people?
Yes, sir. And we used to sing songs like that moved us, like this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Remember this one, Jim? Glory, glory, hallelujah. Sins are laid. Hey, the songs like that. Now, definitely there's modern songs such as Anybody Ask You, Where I'm Going, Where I'm Going Soon. So there's the traditional gospel, and then there's the Edwin Hawkins, Walter Hawkins, Andre Crouch, that type of gospel. The contemporary from the flipping there. You remember the old Happy Days. You know, first there was James Cleveland. Jim, those are our days. So we tell on ourselves, Jim. Our days was James Cleveland, Shirley Caesar, and then here come the Hawkins and here come Andre Crouch. So yeah, music has evolved.
Talk about that evolution, if we will, for a second or two, in the church. I mean, that evolution, and now today's, for those of us who are on the phone, on the program, rather, I should say, who may, in fact, living in more contemporary times. What has been that connectivity between the people like the Edwin Hawkins and those like the Andre Crouches? How has that, in fact, impacted the music today, for instance, in the religious scene?
In the religious scene, oh my God, I like to say it like this, and you and I have talked about this several times. Words, the music changes, but the words is what really make the song. So the music changes, and each generation has their own style, and that somewhat has been a discrepancy in the church. But the music changes. Do you know that there's R&B gospel, there's country gospel, there is jazz gospel, there's hip hop gospel, but the words make the song. The words of the song makes the song relevant. But the music changes, and some have accepted it, Jim, and some don't. Well, even to me, I don't like every type of music, but it's relevant for our times and the generation, and for the growth. It changes. The music changes, but the word. You hear some of these new songs today. Some of these new songs, the words are just like the words when Andre Crouch was recording and when Edwin Hawkins was recording, but the music is just a little different. So that's how it's evolved.
So say more about that in terms of do you have any examples, by the way? Can you play anything that might suggest then that where you see that bridge between what was and what is now today? Can you share anything with us?
Okay. I just played Glory, Glory, Hallelujah. Glory, glory, the old fashioned. Since I laid my burden down. Now, watch it. Glory, glory. Glory, glory. Hallelujah. Since I lay y'all, I'm burning down. Say what? Glory, glory. Hallelujah. Since I lay my burning down. Yeah. Just a little twist on it, They call it the groove.
So you, in fact, then have that church experience, and your journey continues now, and you move away a little bit from the church, as it were, in terms of the music itself, and you arrive at a different place, and now you're in night spots and so forth. So tell us about that transition, going then to what was the next? Was it rock and roll? Was it, again, soul? What was the next sort of iteration of Ronnie Diamond Hood?
Oh, Lord. Well, during my course, I thank God for the experience. I thank God for the experience. I have, believe it or not, I've played bass for the Ink Spots. I auditioned for the Drifters, and to be one of the lead singers. I didn't take the job, but I auditioned with them. But one of my main things that I'm very thankful for, I became the new, not the original, but the new lead singer for the Ohio Players and the lead guitarist. They wanted, when they hired me, they wanted a person that could do the and they also wanted a person that could do something nice and sweet, like here we are in love together, you and I. They wanted a person that could actually do some singing, and also a person that could do the saying what. Plus, they needed a guitar player, so I did 3 jobs. So I became the lead singer for the Ohio Players and the lead guitarist, the new lead singer. And the album that I did, I was the lead singer on the whole album was called Graduation. I played with the as you stated I was featured singer on the Edwin Hawkins Music and Arts Seminar. Oh God, Jennifer Holliday. I was in a play right here in Columbus, This Man Jesus, and Dayton, Ohio. So I have been with, and I've produced different groups and different singers. And one of my greatest achievements was my gospel album, It Is Written, which was a contemporary compilation. I had some girls on there that sung. You've heard some of my girls.
Yes.
I had a quartet group, all men, and I had a choir. And that was my greatest accomplishment in gospel. So I've done a lot of different things to help the music evolve, as you would. And I'm proud of those things. And you have been a blessing to me.
So tell me about this issue. Let's switch gears now. Now, what is funk? What is funk? Can you play a little bit of funk for us here today?
You remember this? Skin tight, ow. And then you got the shot, you got the Gap Band, Isley Brothers. So that's now the Ohio Players was a funk fusion band. They were a funk band, but they played a lot of jazz. I wish I could play as good as those guys, but they played a lot of fusion type of funk. But it was still a funk. As a matter of fact, we have a funk museum in Dayton, Ohio, Doc. Funk museum. Do you know that all the great funk, some of the greatest funk musicians, I won't say all of them, came from Ohio? Isley Brothers. Isley Brothers, Confunction, Heat Wave, Ohio Players, Fazio, Slave, just to name a few, came right from Ohio. James Brown had a studio called King Studio in Cincinnati. What was the other group? Midnight Star. The Deal. The Deal is from the Cincinnati area. So there's a lot of funk groups that's from the Ohio area. So that's what funk is.
You talk about it being this, again, funk fusion. Now, we've heard you play a little bit about what funk sounds like, but I mean, how did it get this name, number one, and number two, how did it grow then from, and the connection we'll make is how it connects to today's music. Do we hear funk today as well?
Yes, sir. Just a quick story on the fusion. This is my take on it, and especially with the Ohio Players. Those guys were jazz musicians. A lot of these musicians of the past, such as Lionel Richie, could play 4, 5, 6 different instruments. Those guys, a lot of the funk guys, James, they were accomplished musicians, jazz musicians. The funk is what made the money, okay? The funk was relevant and it was commercial. I'm trying to find the right word. It was commercial. Let me show you. See if you remember this one. That Sweet Sticky Thing. That's a jazz fusion song. Earth, Wind, and Fire. I hope you can hear it. So these groups, the fusion, and what they did, they took them chords, those fusion chords, and then put a groove to it. fusion chords, and they'll put a groove to it, you know. And that's why I call it, and I don't think it's listed as fusion funk, but I call it fusion funk because those guys were accomplished jazz musicians. Like George mentioned, got and they were soloists, and they were accomplished musicians, deans and professors. But they said, okay, what's selling? What's selling? And Lionel Richie went back to some of that teaching on Endless Love. When he recorded Endless Love with Diana Ross and All Night Long, he went back to some of those, I believe, some of those musical teachings that he learned at, where did he go, Jim? He went to down in Alabama.
Tuskegee Institute.
Yeah, he went back to those, he went back to his teaching, to his musical teaching at college, and we know the history of Lionel Richie. He went back, and you can hear it in this music. With the Commodores, he brought the funk. He recorded a song with Kenny Rogers. Yeah, he recorded a country song. And and as a matter of fact, some of his biggest hits was country. So, yeah.
So if you happen to play something for us right now, full go, as they say, what song kind of comes to mind when you play, want to just sort of just say, well, here is the God-given talent that I have. Are you able to share that with us this afternoon?
Yes, sir. Can you hear the guitar? I didn't plug up an amp because could you hear it? The guitar? Were you able to hear it?
Yeah, we can hear it, but not really well. It'd be great if we could hear it a little bit better.
Okay. Hope you can hear it. I wrote this song especially for this time of year, this month, and it's just a couple of verses. It's someday we'll all be free. Someday we'll all be free. We're gonna cease from trouble. We're gonna cease from trials. Someday we'll all be free. We'll be free from troubles, woe and pain. We'll be free from countless years of shame. Oh, yes, we will. We're gonna cease from trouble. We're gonna cease from trials. Someday we'll all be free. Oh, someday we'll all be free. Someday we'll all be free.
Well, certainly a aspiration of all of us that someday we all will be indeed free to think and free to act and free to be and free to live.
Yes.
The issue we have nowadays is how do we connect? And the songs we talked about and the journey you've been on to this point. Sometimes we are not connecting with our young people today. They're in a very different world. You said the words were different. Music is different. Some of the words are returning, you said early on as well. How do we make that connection with hip hop? How do we make that connection with, again, the kinds of stories that are being told through songs that resonate with our young people today? Is there a connecting opportunity for us through music? And can we bridge that gap?
I think so. Even with me being older and having younger children that writing and arrange and producing, I think one of the things that we have to do, Jim, is listen to each other. That's where I find myself when I was coming up a lot of times, and I have to say it because my grandfather played, my grandmother played, my mama played, my auntie played, but I have to say this, a lot of times they would say, "Oh, I don't hear that music you hear." I try not to tell my children that. You understand? Oh, I don't hear it. I would show them some stuff, and they would say, "Oh no, we don't. I don't hear that like that." Oh no, and as you know, oh, that's the devil's music. Or that I'm not talking about the words. I'm just talking about they would call just the arrangement the devil's arrangement. So I said that, yeah, they would. I'm not even talking about the words. Just if the music didn't go the way they thought it should go, or old school, it was the devil's music. So one of the ways that I connect, I can only speak about me, and I believe if we all that's right around my age, listen to what they're saying, sit down, listen to the music, and more or less listen to the words. I thank God I'm a writer and a musician and a singer, so it may come a little easier for me to listen, but I still have to listen because every music and all types of music, Jim, and words that I hear, it don't too much grab me right away because it's like something that I ain't never heard. But I have to be patient and sometimes they'll explain it to you. They'll explain it to you. I was working on a song just before I got on with you, just kind of keeping my chops up. And the young man played the song for me, but I didn't hear it right away. And I didn't say, "Oh no, I don't." It's different. Oh, it's not like I'm used to. It's not how I'm used to it. I'm sorry. I had to listen. So I think we have to connect. We must listen. We must listen and be ready to make a change.
Well, we want to thank you for being a part of our program. And some of us still have our, I'm going to use the word albums, and I know that it really is dating me at this point in time. However, vinyl and albums are making their way back, it turns out.
Making their way
I
back.
guess what is old is new again, I guess. But we want to thank you again for that. But one last thing before I let you go is that the theme for this Black History Month is African Americans and the arts. Say something about that. Does that resonate with you, and how important have and are the arts to the African American community, at least from your perspective?
Oh my God, the arts is so it's so excellent. There's so much talent in the African community, and it's not just music, as you know, as you put on. I've been a part of the different functions, and as it spreads, I think we need to celebrate the arts that's in each of the talent. There's so much talent. It's talent in the Bible that the Lord said, "I got something that's hidden in caves that ain't been heard yet." I got some prophets. I got prophets. You know about the Elijah story. I got prophets that haven't even bowed their knees to Baal. In other words, there's musicians that ain't even scratched the surface yet, or there's artists that we haven't even scratched the surface yet. So the art is so important that we find out what their skill is. That's what's coming to my mind. we need to find out what their skill is. And we as leaders and as pastors, I'm sorry, I'm kind of a little teared up on that song. We as leaders and pastors in communities, it's our job to find out the word, the Bible, if I may say, it says, know them that labor among you. Know them that labor among you. You know, somebody that's laboring among you, somebody that's doing a great job in the community or in the church. Find out what their skill is and celebrate it.
Well, again, we're going to have you play us out because we're getting ready to shift gears again. So can you play us out with something that we remember this day by and you by?
Yes, sir.
Of your choosing. Play us out with, I suspect that if you give us a little bit of what we know you for, it would be helpful too as well. So give a little something as we kind of, again, transition out.
Okay. You want some old, some new, something to see. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon, the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't shed a tear. Oh, no, just alone you stand by me. Stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me, yeah. When the sky we look upon tumble and fall, and the mountain they crumble to the sea. You know I won't be afraid. I won't shed a tear, oh no, just alone you stand by me. When you get in trouble, stand by me. Stand by me. Oh yeah, stand by me. Oh yeah. Oh, stand by me, yeah. Oh, stand by me.
Thank you so much, Apostle Ronnie Diamond Horde, coming into us from Columbus, Ohio. Thank you again for making time in your day to be a part of our Black History Month program. We really appreciate you much indeed and wish you all the best as you and your family go forward. Please express our sincere appreciation to all those who helped on your end technically to make this connection work. We really appreciate it immensely.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
All the best, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, folks, we have come to the end of our program, but there is one area that we have not dealt with, and we've just got a few minutes here, and I think, Mr. Producer, if you allow me this grace, because we've not talked about an area for which I am very much passionate around, and that's the area of theater. And my idols, I guess it were, if I could say it that way, have been James Earl Jones and, of course, Paul Robeson. Those are persons to whom I've always looked to and looked up, tried to read about, and tried to become familiar with. but they were all engaged in theater before they became then, of course, Paul Robeson, the tremendous singer, baritone, opera. It goes on and on. And of course, James Earl Jones, you all know about with his acting chops as well. But the one area that we had a similar experience, and I'm not suggesting that I'm anywhere near those persons, but was in the area of theater. And I did want just to share a little bit of that with you before we close out. The particular performance that those two gentlemen were involved with, and I had the occasion to be part of as well, was in Shakespeare. Really loved Shakespeare and was able to be involved in one of the greatest of William Shakespeare's plays that dealt with the issue of race. Particularly, he was the Moor of Venice in Othello. And it was a tremendous opportunity to share a story that is about, again, a tremendous warrior, a conqueror that was well respected by everyone, but also was envied by everyone as well. And so the story goes that allows them to have this opportunity together that moves to a place where they, in fact, have the envy to convict, in this case, to almost convict him, rather, before trial, of having somehow or another gone in and did some sort of brainwashing, if you will, of the princess, in this case, Desdemona. And so the story is told about that whole meeting, about how they came together. And he had to defend himself. And then he was able to do so defiantly until the very end, when in fact he submitted to the pressures that were happening around him, and ended up in a rage killing Desdemona, and in fact killing himself. And so if you just bear with me just for a second or two, I would like to share with you from that first speech of Othello and him defending himself. Instant, conductor, you know the place, and until she comes as truly as to heaven, I do confess the vices of my blood. So just at your grave ears, I'll confess how I did thrive in this fair lady's love, and she in mine. Her father loved me, oft invited me, still questioned me the story of my life. From year to year, the battles, sieges, fortunes I had passed. Why, I ran it through, even from my boyish days to the very moment he bade me tell it, wherein I spake of most disastrous chances of moving accident by flood and field, of the hairbreadth escape in the imminent deadly breach, of being taken by the insolent foe and sold to slavery, my redemption thence. And portents in my travel history, wherein of anxious vast and desert isle, rough rocks and quarries, and hills whose head do touch heaven. It was my hint to speak. Such was the process. And of the anthropophagy, and the men whose heads do go beneath their shoulders. Why, this to hear what Desdemona seriously inclined, whichever as she could, with a greedy ear, she'd come again and devour up my discourse. I observing took one suppliant hour, that I would draw from her good means, that I would all of my pilgrimage dilate. Wherein of parcel she had something heard, but not intentively. She swore in faith 'twas strange, 'twas passing strange, 'twas pitiful, 'twas wondrously pitiful. She wished she had not heard it, and yet she wished heaven had made her such a man. She thanked me and begged me that if I should know a man that loved her, I should but teach him how to tell my story, and that would woo her. She loved me for the dangers I had passed, and I loved her that she did pity them. This only is the witchcraft I have used. Upon this hint I spake. He submits at the end and is surrounded by the oncoming mob. there to kill him, he in turn, in a jealous rage, has killed Desdemona. And so he says these words, "Strophe, a word or two before you go. I have done the state some service, but no more of that. I pray you, when you shall these unlucky deeds relate, speak of me as I am. Nothing extenuate, nor set down aught in malice. Then must you speak of one who loved, not wisely, but too well, of one not easily jealous, but being perplexing in the extreme, of one whose hand threw a pearl away, richer than all his tribe, and one whose eyes, albeit unused to the melting mood, drop tears as fast as Arabian trees, their messonable gum, and set you down this, and you say beside, that in Aleppo once, a malignant and turbaned Turk beat the Venetian and produced the state, and I took by the throat the circumcised dog, and I smote him thus. Kiss thee, ere I kill thee. No way but this, killing myself to die upon a kiss. Thank you for indulging my friends. I, again, want to thank all of you who were involved in this program today, all those who were participants, and all those who were part of the process of making this program be a reality. We thank all of you. You know, it is not the soliloquy as I just offered, or the solo, or the single performance. We're not trying to be a clinging, clanging cymbal. We just want to be part of the beautiful symphony called humankind. You know, the era that was once started a long time ago was that we never had a voice. And so for all of us out there who want to be a chord, want to be an instrument, whether our culture or race may be different, but just want to be a part of the human family, we say that today we're celebrating Negro History Month. It truly is a month for all of us to celebrate. We thank you for being a part of this and look forward to seeing you next year.